In honor of this week's guest, BAT will be making a donation to the Indiana chapter of the ALS Association. We would encourage the BAT community to support this important cause, and even a small amount can make a difference. Welcome back to another episode of the BAT podcast. I'm Howard Swig, and I'm here today with a very special guest and a good friend of mine, a major collector, a longtime supporter of Bring a Trailer, and one of the really great residents of the state of Indiana, Mr. Bill Oesterle. Bill, how are you?
I'm well, Howard. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super happy that you could make the time today. Last time we saw each other was when you were super helpful in helping us put together our partnership with the Indy Motor Speedway Museum. I came down to Indianapolis at the end of 2019. You took me to the famed St. Elmo's Steakhouse, and we had a lovely dinner together. Man, that seems like a long time ago.
It was, but I enjoyed that dinner very much.
Very good. Many people in the BAT community will know you by your username, Billo317. 317, of course, being the area code for Indy. Bill, I was shocked to see, taking a look at your profile, that you have sold a whopping 164 cars with us, and you still have a warehouse full of cars, I think.
Yeah, we're working on it, but yes. I'm gonna guess I bought some astronomical number too, but I haven't kept track.
Well, I'll tell you, you're going in the right. For someone who wants to pare down their collection, you're going in the right direction, because you've sold 164 and you've only bought 21. So,
all right. I bought some before you were an auction site, so I think I'd have to count those too.
So tell me, Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself. You started a little company called Angie's List, which in the mid 90s, which I'm sure folks will be familiar with. You've obviously had a long time interest in a lot of different types of cars and motorcycles. We'll post a link to your user profile, but just the cars you've sold, the vehicles you've sold, and the variety is pretty impressive. So tell us a little bit about kind of your background and how you got into all this car stuff.
Yeah, I've always loved cars since I was a kid with no money, and so I've been collecting since I was about 18. And Andy's List, Andy and I built that from nothing, absolutely from zero. It was a marketplace business connecting homeowners and service people, and so Bring a Trailer, when I found it in 2009 maybe, I was fascinated. It was a marketplace business. And I began to buy vehicles off of that. The old just listings.
Yeah, very good. And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like in kind of 2010 to 2013, you bought a lot of cars on eBay. And I remember exchanging some emails with you about that, but it seems like you really accelerated your collection acquisition kind of in that time frame. Is that right, or has this been a decades-long pursuit?
And certainly accelerated them, but I've been. At first, I didn't have space, so I collected a lot of motorcycles. Their chief advantage being that they're small. And then I acquired some space around 2010 and began to add a lot of cars.
I feel like at one point you had 7 or 8 MGA twin cams. I know, you know, if you like a car or a bike, why stop yourself at owning just one of them? I feel with you, there are a few examples where you liked it so much that you decided to try your hand at cornering the market. The twin cam was one of those.
Yeah, I do. If I get interested in a particular model, I'll start to acquire several examples. You know, parts, condition, story, all those things appeal to me. And every car has its own personality. So I have very eclectic taste, but I will focus in occasionally.
You've also had a number of really neat vintage BMW motorcycles. Are you specifically into BMW for the bikes, or tell us about that?
I love BMWs and Italian bikes, and particularly small displacement Italian bikes. And so I've had hundreds of different manufacturers. Also like early Japanese stuff. So a lot of that too. But BMWs, as far as a classic bike is concerned, are unbeatable. The styling is good, parts are available, they perform well, over-engineered. So I ended up with a lot of them, and they're the ones I always rode.
I mean, you've sold multiple Pinsgauers in addition to you know, more you call it mainstream stuff. You also bought and sold a fantastic convertible D356. So you really kind of span the gamut in terms of what all you got. In terms of the bigger stuff in the collection, what have you had in the past, and what are you still holding on to?
Yeah, so I love roadsters, you know, the classic open air, late 50s or 50s roadster. And so British, German, Italian, the British roadsters have something unique to them. That just, I don't know how to explain that. They have a feel that is unique, and I love them. But I've had all roadsters. Then I like trucks too. I have some farmland, and I like a good truck. I like driving them. I like being in them. I like the utilitarian nature of them. And lastly, I like big American iron. You know, the giant convertibles of the 60s and late 50s. I still have Porsches. have a Austin Healey 100S. I have an old Seattle sports car, Italian. A few of those things left.
But I mean, you're even veering into stuff. You have sold a Jowett Jupiter. You've sold some old 50s Crosleys. I think you sold a Kellison J5. Actually, one of my favorite cars we've ever sold was your Allard K3, maybe one you wish you had back.
Yeah.
So you've definitely veered into kind of the esoteric, some esoteric corners with some of that stuff. I mean, I don't know how many guys have a Jowett Jupiter, an Allard K3, and a Crosley Almquist.
Yeah, all of those cars have appealed to me because of their story. The Jowett. What such a remarkable piece of engineering of an age when a great engineer could build a car. And that one, there are a lot similar. I like entrepreneurs in the industry. That one through, I've sold to Ariel Adams a modern car with that same design ethic and, a principled car, in my view.
Yeah, shifting gears a little bit. You were a big part of us putting together the partnership we have with the Indy Motor Speedway Museum. I know you have a lot of pride for the state of Indiana and being an Indianapolis local. Obviously, the Speedway has been near and dear to your heart for a long time. You sit currently on the board of directors of the museum with some pretty heavy hitters. Yourself, Rob Dyson, Bobby Rahal, Scott Borchetta, and a number of others. Tell us about, I think the community would love to hear about kind of your involvement with the Speedway, with the museum, how you got started there and how that's going.
Yeah, I love that museum. I hope all your listeners will come out and see it. It is unique in automotive museums. The Indy 500 is epic drama, and that museum represents that as well as any place on earth. And what's great, all those people you mentioned are there like me because they are so emotionally wrapped up in that place and the stories and the drama of the whole thing. I love that board. Those guys are all in it, working hard. They love it. I got involved because I sold Rob Dyson McLaren M16C that Johnny Rutherford drove to second place in 1975, and we became friends.
Interesting. Is that M16 a car that you got behind the wheel of ever? I mean, that's a pretty serious machine.
Yeah, that one I didn't. I owned for a number of years an M16C that won the 500 in 74, and I was fortunate enough to drive that.
You had, as I said, was a big part of cluing me into the deaccession discussions that were going on, and I know you went to the board and said, hey, you guys really ought to consider, using Bring a Trailer as the sales channel for all this stuff. And so I came down there in December 19, just before all the COVID mess, and met with the foundation director, and you actually got me a great basement tour, which was pretty exciting. How has that been going? I mean, the museum has sold 70 odd cars. I think we have 30 or 40 to go. I've been super proud that they have made the choice to give us some of the bigger stuff. We sold their 300 SL Gullwing, the 770K Mercedes. We've got a 86 March Indy 500 car on there now. I know they had amassed something to the tune of 350 cars over the course of 7 or 8 decades. So naturally, that needs to be pared down. Much like your collection, the number can't always increase. So how have those discussions gone? The deaccession process, is that still ongoing in terms of what cars are being selected to be sold, or what?
It is. That collection reflected the personal taste of Tony Holman. And so while the main focus was always Indy race cars, and Indiana made automobiles, he acquired some wild stuff. And some of that, like we have the 65 Ferrari 250 that won the Le Mans, the last Ferrari. We won't sell that, but that gives you a sense of how varied his tastes were. And he'd have that and some like he'd have dragsters and mini moke, just all kinds of stuff. We decided we're gonna focus on the Indy cars. And to do that, we have to have the resource to maintain them. We have 200 odd of those. We want them running, we want them at events, we want them on display widely. And we thought, look, some of these things never see the light of day. We're going to sell those and put the money into the main collection. And how our decision to use Bring a Trailer was a crushing success. I'm happy to talk about that. Absolutely crushing success.
Well, we've been thrilled with it. Just the quality and variety of cars that the museum is offering on BAT seems to only get better by the month. The car that Bill was referencing, of course, is the 250 LM Le Mans winner that sits right at the entrance of the museum, next to maybe the most significant car they have, which is the 300 SLR Mercedes. I mean, two of the great 50s sports cars ever made that are sitting right in the lobby when you walk in. As far as you walked me through the basement, which I don't know if that's something people can opt in do for a tour, or that's kind of off limits. I felt very honored to be taken down there. You mentioned a lot of these cars never see the light of day. I mean, some of the stuff down there is absolutely amazing artifacts of Indy 500 history going back to the 1930s or before. How does the museum keep all that stuff running? I imagine, I mean, they have some, I know they have some in-house mechanics, but that's not an easy task to just have the ability to wrench on such a variety of pretty sophisticated cars that even in period required a pretty specialized team to keep going.
Yeah, fortunately, we're a town full of talented mechanics. 100 years of racing has built a capability here that I think is unparalleled. And so we only had, when you and I met, we had one guy, one poor guy. We now have 4 that are working on those cars, and we have outside contractors and suppliers. The community around those cars is so strong that if you want a magneto off of a 25 miller in about 3 phone calls, you find somebody that has one, and he'll drive it down and help you put it on.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. And obviously the Penske acquisition of the Speedway got a lot of press, which occurred a couple of years ago. Interestingly, the museum and the museum foundation operate somewhat autonomously from the Speedway. How has that Penske transition gone? Or are you personally buddies with Mr. Penske himself? I think people would love to know more about that.
Yeah, well, oddly, I've gotten to know him well. Right after I met with you in 19, our executive director resigned to do something else. I stepped in as the interim, primarily because I live here. That's my only qualification. And the pandemic hit. Suddenly, I was meeting about once every 2 weeks with Roger Penske because we were an open public facility on his grounds. So we're a 501c3 owned and operated separately. We have to coordinate all of our open, closing protocols with him. He is wonderfully committed to what the museum represents. And so our relationship started with him giving me a 4-hour tour of the track and showing me all his ideas and improvements. For me, I mean, I'm just some guy from Indianapolis. I've gone to the race as a spectator for 40 years. That was unbelievably special to me.
Well, that's an event I've never been to, and maybe if we keep doing a really good job for the museum, maybe some Indy 500 box seats will come me and Randy's way. I don't know, but I imagine you've attended the race many times. Is that one of the great automotive spectacles in the world that I shouldn't miss?
Look, you have to come to it. I insist, Howard. This May, you're coming. There, I've been there 45 of them. When you walk out and into the grandstands with 400,000 people, and you realize there is no other facility on the earth that can bring that many people together. It is a unique experience. There is nothing like it on the planet Earth.
Well, we announced, as you may have seen, and I hope if you're in town, Bill, and able that you'll come join us, but we are doing our first BAT alumni gathering of 2022 at the Indy Speedway on Saturday, April 16th. Been working with the folks there, and for us, it's great to tie something tangible to the in an event that our community can attend, to the deaccession sale we've been doing now for going on 18 months. I am super excited for that. I'm going to come out there. People think about Indianapolis and Indiana as being a very American car centric place, muscle cars and everything around that, but there is a pretty great kind of European sports car, Japanese sports car scene going on. Tell us about kind of your experience with Indiana car culture and everything it has to offer.
Well, it would be incredibly myopic to think that Motor Speedway has brought the greatest car manufacturers in the world throughout its history into town. And, we've had F1 here, we've had MotoGP here. There's a heavy engineering presence in the state. My alma mater, Purdue University, is one of the great engineering schools in the world. And so, Peugeot won the third 500 with in 1913. That history continues. BMW is building a test and experience facility at the track right now.
Yeah, very good. And what F1 was there for a few years, and what the mid 2000s, 04, 05, 06, and that was the big tire debacle that kind of muddied the waters there. What do you remember about that?
What a mess. Look, I love F1, but their ability to they have a unique ability to do something like that at an event. That was just awful, and a dark day in all of racing.
Do you think there'd ever be a possibility that Formula One would return to Indy, or I mean, they've obviously been branching out in the U.S. With events in Miami and COTA. Do you think it would ever come to pass that they'd return to Indianapolis?
I believe Roger Penske has stated a couple of times he wants to bring them back. Given what I've seen from him, uh, I would say he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, well, time will tell. That would be pretty neat. That would definitely be an event I'd come out for. Anyways, Bill, I know you got stuff going on today, so we'll wrap it there. But I really appreciate your time, and it's great to see you. And with any luck, I hope that maybe our paths will cross when we're out in Indy in April in 2 months.
I won't miss that event. I'll bring out something good.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Howard, for everything BAT has done.